Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my talk show. Let's Talk Rebecca's Way. I don't know if it's really a show, but it's my channel. Welcome to Let's Talk Rebecca's Way. Like, share, and subscribe. Okay, let's get into this morning. This morning, we are going to be talking about trauma bonds. Yes, trauma bonds, people, are hands down real. A lot of times we don't even know we have gotten ourselves into a trauma bond until you start to heal from your trauma. And then you'll realize your mate is trying to hold you in a scarred place because they yet have not healed. And when you have two people that's in a trauma bond and you got the one here that is healing, well, they're growing. They're growing and they're starting to see things clearly. And then you have this mate here that is not working on their trauma, is not willing to face their trauma. Well, you know what's going to happen. They're going to stay here and you're going to busy do this. You're going to busy do this. So what used to hold y'all together was trauma. Now that you're healing from the trauma, what is holding y'all together? Y'all grew a relationship and an understanding off of what? Trauma. Shared traumas. Shared childhood hurt stories. So you quite often feel like, oh, we have something in common because, he kind of experienced what I went through and she kind of experienced, the way I was raised and the hardships that I was under when I was growing up. So y'all have this common denominator that, you think is healthy and what has brought y'all together in reality is not healthy. And when that person that is here is watching you grow, they start to become jealous. They start to become envious of you. They start to become sabotaging. You understand me? They will start arguments for nothing, the littlest, smallest thing. Why? Because you're consistently growing and you're healing. And you up here looking down at them, sometimes we try to reach back and be like, come on, heal that. Come on, heal that. So you will get them to talk about a little something so they'll elevate. And they get stuck there. Some people like to be stuck in their trauma. Some people like to be stuck and held by their scars, people. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're growing and you're healing, that person that you was once attached to because of the same traumas, that relationship is not going to work out no more. I'm just here to tell y'all. It's not going to work out no more. Don't get upset with me. I'm just a messenger. But I'm here to tell you, it's not going to work out no more. Because they're too busy still living in their past. They are still stuck on the hurts and the pains. They have not yet grown the confidence to face their trauma. So that leave them stuck. So let's get into this. I was in a trauma bond when I was a teenager. I was like 15 years old. And the guy that I was dating, just put C, he came from trauma also. And even though he was living with his grandmother and she was providing, a good lifestyle, home life, he was still held by the trauma done to him from his mother, from his father. So we connected on having hurts. You understand me? We connected on coming from a place of misunderstanding. We connected on coming from a place that we held secrets and we had shames. And let me tell you about trauma bonds. They are toxic. You argue, you fight, but in the moment of being in the trauma bond with that person, you don't realize that these toxic things that y'all are doing to each other are toxic. You find them quite okay because that's your person. No one else gets you, you know? And I broke up with him. I broke up with him because our trauma bond pushed me to the point where I put a gun on him. And I was ready to take his life because I had started to face some things in my life. When I moved out of my mom's house at 15, that gave me the leeway to heal. That gave me the leeway to look over who I was as Rebecca. And I started to notice in my boyfriend that I didn't like the trauma. I didn't want to sit up and talk about hurts and pains and things anymore. So I started to pull away from that. And that was like the second time I started therapy as a teenager. So here I am, 15 years old, going to therapy, working myself out, understanding who I am as a young lady, turning into a woman. And I started to pull away from him. I started not wanting to dwell on those hurts, dwell on those traumas anymore. And so while he was here, Rebecca was going up. And he tried everything to keep me locked in that traumatizing relationship that was built on traumas. And I killed myself. It was, nobody loved me. I thought you would be down and in my corner forever and always, Rebecca. And this is where we have to be careful when we meet people that is in trauma. Be careful of the words that you tell them, because they will hold on to those words with dear life, people. The guy that I was dating that was dealing with trauma, he was dealing with abandonment issues. So when I said to him that I'm growing, I'm healing, I'm moving on, he heard, I'm abandoning you. I'm never going to talk to you. And that's not what I was saying. But because he was dealing with such deep-rooted abandonment issues, he couldn't hear me saying, I just don't want to be in this relationship, but I will be your friend. I will always be here for you. He did not hear that because that was his trauma. His trauma was he was left. He was left by the people he loved the most. And that was his mother and his father. You understand me? And so I teach my daughter about trauma bonds. I teach my daughter, do not get in a relationship with a guy that has had trauma, that has had childhood severe issues. You don't have severe childhood issues. So he's going to be here. You're here. And you're busy trying to relate to something that you never went through. But because you have some small hurts, you will find comfortability in that. Don't find comfortability in that. I teach my daughter to only deal with healed people. Period, point blank. Because that situation at a 15-year-old age, dealing with someone that had trauma issues, and I had trauma issues, and here I was ready to move on from them things, it took me and held me in something else. Now I'm receiving a trauma from trying to get out of this relationship. And so, back to what I was saying, I put a gun on him. I had to put a gun on him. I had to cock the gun, and I had to put it in his face and let him know, like, you either gonna let me go or I'm gonna kill you to be let go. Because in that moment, he resembled my rapist that told me he will always have control of me. He will always have control over me. Nah. So I had my gun, put it out. I cocked it. I backed that ass out my house. And I let him know, I will take your life if you don't let me go on with my life. And that's when he realized, she's serious. And I told him with that same gun in his face, I will always be your friend. But this relationship we got is awful. I don't want to be in the middle of the streets. arguing with you. I don't want to be in the middle of the streets fighting with you. I'm only 15 years old. Why am I running around here acting as though I am an adult? I did not want to be a part of that. And so we parted ways. Trauma bonds are things we find comfort in another person, and them understanding what we went through. Quite often we feel like people who never been through nothing, didn't have abuse childhoods, never went without food, had to sleep and eat in the cold because mama couldn't afford to pay the RG&E. We quite often feel like they don't understand us, and they can't get on our level. They can't see where we came from and have an understanding of where we came from. They can't. Just because a person have not been through your situation don't mean they can't understand. They can. Only if they want to. Only if they want to, people. Trauma bonds are not healthy for an adolescent that is dating, a young adults that are dating, or even older adults that are dating. Do not put yourself in a trauma bond, because it will be one of the hardest relationships that you possibly have to get out of. And on top of that, you will be inflicting more trauma upon yourself. It's okay to deal with people who had childhood hurts, but as long as they have worked on those childhood hurts and there's no underlying issues still there in their memory bank, in their emotional spaces, that holds them in that place. If a person say, hey, yeah, I had a rough childhood, but I worked on those things. I changed the game for myself. That's someone okay to date. Because why? They're not trying to relive what they already came out of. And quite often when you start dating someone that is healed and you're still dealing with your traumas, they're going to end up leaving you after so long, because it gets tiring to deal with someone that does not want to yet face their hurts and their traumas. So you're going to quite often find yourself in and out of relationships. The longest relationships you are probably hold is with someone else that has trauma and yet have not worked on their trauma. So they're comfortable with sitting in that place. So people, don't date trauma. Date healed. Date clarity. Don't date trauma that is stuck in their trauma. And everything happens to them goes back to their trauma. Goes back to their trauma. They get in trouble at work. Oh, I remember my mama used to. Nah, work on your hurts. Everything that happened to you in life is not a reminder of your hurts and your childhood traumas. They're not. We have to teach our young men and our daughters not to date ones with trauma. I'm not here to teach my daughter to get in a relationship with a young man that has had childhood traumas and his family don't want to recognize them. He don't want to recognize them, but he's over here abusing you. He's over here beating you down. He's over here tearing down your confidence, because see, that's what happened when women get in relationships with men or women. When they get in relationships with one that is under trauma and you're not under the trauma, then they will beat you down. They will throw every word they can throw at you. They will physically attack you. They will play the victim card all the time. And it's no fun. And it gets us nowhere but more hurt. Do not put yourself in trauma bonds. They are dangerous relationships. I have watched people be in trauma bonds and it did not turn out well. Somebody ended up in a hospital. Somebody ended up behind bars. And in the midst of being in a trauma bond relationship, you will have kids. You know what you're teaching your kids? You're teaching your kids them same traumatic patterns that you grew up under. You're repeating the cycle with a new generation. And when they grow up, they're going to be somebody's headache. I'm just going to keep it real. People that is living under trauma that does not want to heal themselves, not all. Some of them stay to themselves. Some of them is not a bothersome. But the ones, I'm talking about the ones that are, it's a living hell. They will make your life a living hell. You want to go, wow, oh, it's a problem. It's an argument. Every little thing will be a problem. If they feel like you're shining more than them, they're going to sit and figure out a way how to tear you down and bring you back to their level. They will get you in public places and spaces and embarrass you to take you from here to bring you back down to their level. People, be careful about the ones we get in relationships with. Have the necessary conversations. Hey, were you abused when you were little? Because see, when a person that has healed and worked on their abuse and their traumas and their shames and their scars, we have no problem with saying, yes, I was hurt, but I'm healed now. That's then, not here. When you ask that question to someone, they get offensive. They have not worked on their traumas. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's back up. Back up out of that. It's not for you. I know sometimes we believe we can fix everyone that we come across. No, you can't. They have to want to fix themselves. So if you are a healed vessel, date healed vessels. If you are in a trauma bond relationship, find a way to get out of that trauma bond relationship and heal yourself so that you can be in a healthy relationship. If you have kids and you are locked into a trauma bond relationship and you are working on yourself, find a way to back out of that relationship so that your kids no further long have to go through more traumas and more hurts, so that they don't have to repeat the cycle of trauma. Break the chain, people. Break the chain. I am breaking chains. When I teach my daughter to go different, to do different, I'm breaking a chain. She will not be in a trauma bond relationship. My son will not be in a trauma bond relationship. He will not deal with no one's daughter that has been hurt and does not want to work on herself, but she wants to put her hands on my son. My daughter will not date no young man that deals with trauma issues and he wants to verbally abuse my daughter or physically abuse my daughter. No, the chain stops at me. They will not carry those links on them. People, stay focused on your spiritual walk. Your spiritual walk will help you heal from your trauma bonds, your trauma issues. Find someone you can talk to so that you can heal, so you can realize, am I in a trauma bond relationship? Is me and my mate in this relationship because we share similar hurts, similar scars? Because when you start to heal from these things, whether you're a woman or you're a man, your mate will start to become upset. The insecurity levels will shoot to the sky. Do you understand me? Trauma bonds are not healthy for no one. They are toxic. And that toxicity rolls off of you onto your children, unto your loved ones, because you know what you're busy doing in this trauma bond relationship? You're busy calling up mommy, you're busy calling up the cousin, you're busy calling up the sister, and you busy telling this same story of trauma over and over and over. Get out so you can heal yourself. Take the time to sit alone and heal yourself so that you won't be in a trauma bond based relationship. Change the game, people. Change the game for yourself. And if you have children, change the game for yourself and your children. And you will see them be more happier. I'm telling you, sometimes trauma bonds, I watch them go real bad. I watch people lose their kids because they in this trauma bond relationship and they believe so deeply this is the only person that will love them. This is the only person that will understand that I deal with depression. No. You're not being loved properly. And you're not loving properly when you're in a trauma bond relationship. I'm just here to tell the truth about it. I'm just the messenger. But on that note, y'all, stay true. You understand me? Find out what is your hurts and fix them. Go to the Most High. Pray about it. Work on them. Take the time to recognize if you are in a trauma bond relationship, or are you in a relationship that is of healthiness and healedness. But on that note, y'all stay blessed. Y'all have a great day. And I'll see y'all again. Welcome to Rebecca's Way. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend and tell a friend.